Hey, you're watching AFox, and I'm bringing you tips and tricks on how to survive on factions, because I find that a lot of people that I'm always playing with seem to never get the idea of how to survive and actually not die every 5 seconds. So for those people who do want some advice, I'm going to give some to you. So if you want to know what my loadout is, I have the 9mm pistol, the Silence Full Auto, Covert Training Level 2, Brawler 1, Explosion Expert 1, and Strategist 1. So that is it, and I do not have any purchasables because I don't have any more spaces left. I will in the future be going over my preferred loadouts and weapons of choices, but until then I'm just going to give you my tips and tricks on how to survive and actually play well. So one of the most important things of this game is teamwork, and so many people do not understand what that word means. And it is really frustrating because, you know, sometimes, okay, granted, you can go and lone wolf and it will work out fine for you and you will be back with your team in a few moments time and you would have got yourself some extra supplies and maybe Shiv took someone down from behind because your teammate was used as bait or whatever. But overall, if you do want to do a surviving for as long as possible match, then that's not going to happen if you're going to be lone wolfing the whole time. It just is so much easier when everyone's got your back and you've got their back because you're all sticking together. But when I say stick together, I don't mean sit on your teammates' asses, because that will actually get you killed most likely. Because, say for instance, your enemy has a Molotov, and you and your teammates were all around the tin collecting your supplies. If you're all really close around that tin, then it's so easy for your enemy teammates to just Molotov you, because you're all exposed and you're all together, so they can get one massive group kill. So be aware of where your players are. Be aware of what their aim is, where they're going, and what they're doing. And just make sure that you're never too close to them so that someone else can get a double kill. Because that's just going to up their game and decrease your chances of surviving. And of course, we want to survive. So just don't literally be all on top of each other. Like, right example now. That would have been a perfect time to throw a Molotov. But considering this is quite early in the match, that wasn't going to happen. But yes, player awareness is so important because you want to know what your teammates are doing. So just make sure that you know their strategy. Say for instance they are crawling around the map. They probably don't want you running past them, exposing where they are on the map, because that's just unfair and it's going to ruin their plans if they're trying to sneak up on somebody that you might not be aware of. And it also does mean that your chances of surviving are less because you're actually on the map as well. But another point to remember about your teammates and their awareness is the fact that if you are down, don't always go straight running towards them, because you never know if it's actually a good idea for them. They might not be in a position where they want to be exposed, or they might not be able to revive you at that current moment. So don't necessarily run straight to your teammates if they don't look like they're in a position where they can actually come and revive you, because that might jeopardize their chance of actually surviving themselves. The next most important thing, of course, is patience. Now, I know it is hard. It is hard to be patient when you have games like Advanced Warfare, where patience just doesn't happen. You cannot stop to save your ass. But in a game like this, it's so necessary. And as you can see, if I was just a little bit more patient and waited for my teammates to come and help me out, I wouldn't have got down then. Luckily enough, I have teammates who know what to do and they revive me, which is great. But sometimes you're not going to have teammates around you to save your ass. So don't always run out of a gunfight and straight back into it, especially if you don't know where the enemies are or what they're using, or etc, etc. So yeah, patience is a key. Sometimes waiting it out for the enemies to actually pass you by completely is actually necessary. Otherwise you'll get caught and you'll die. Especially if you are, let's say, lone wolfing and on the other side of the map and 3 enemies come along. Hiding in the corner is probably one of the most intense things to do, but it can actually save you from dying. Instead of going into combat with 3 enemies where you've just got like a pistol or 3 bullets like I do there, it's just not a good idea. So yeah, patience sometimes is key. Now, patience can actually link into greed, because if you don't have enough of the patience, then sometimes getting a kill can get the better of you. For example here, I just wanted to kill this guy because he was in the middle of executing someone, and I was running from so far away, I was never going to get to him in time. And it's situations like that that get you A, exposed on the map, and B, I lost where he went. And if that guy had covert training on, I was never going to see him again because he knew where I was and I didn't know where he was. So if you're not too 100% about the situation that you're walking into, that can get you killed. And if you just want that kill so bad that you're just going to risk everything for it, it might not work out. So basically, greed can get you killed, guys. The next piece of advice for surviving might seem a little bit dumb, but it's so simple. It's literally just to listen up. Listen out for enemy footsteps. Because if you're like trying to stealth around the map and you are alone and everyone's got covert training on, footsteps is going to be one of the only things that's going to help you detect if someone is there or not. So you really want to listen out for those sort of things. Enemy call-outs as well, not just defeat, but shout-outs. If someone's tagged you and you've been marked, then you're going to hear someone shouting on the other team. So that will give you an idea of proximity, of how close they are, if it's a loud shout or if it's quite faint. And it's also going to give you an idea that either you've been marked or someone else has. If you've got strategist on, then you'll be a little bit more lucky and you might actually know that your ass is okay. But if it's not you, then it's going to be one of your friends. And if you are sticking with them, then you probably don't want to do too much of a bold move while someone's actually marked. And if you are marked, just wait it out. Patience again. Don't try and flank around whilst you're in the middle being marked, because they're going to see your plan and where you're going. So it's just stupid. It's not going to work. Another thing that might help you survive is being one with nature. When I say that, I mean use the environment to its maximum. Hide in the bushes, hide behind objects. Don't expose yourself at times that aren't necessary. You know, if you're not going to be shooting, don't expose yourself. Be careful, be cautious, because if you don't have covert training, you don't actually know who can see you. Especially they have covert training on. So you want to be careful about that, because they will be able to see where you're going. But if you're not exposed actually physically, then they can't do anything about it. So just be careful about the way you move. Another thing that might help you is to take different paths. Don't go the traditional routes that you know that people go on maps, especially at the start of a match. When you start off, most people go for the crate in front of them and then they'll go to the right and go to that crate. Or sometimes they go to the left, but I've mainly experienced people going to the right, personally anyway. So don't do that. Go through the middle. Take that safe zone, because everyone's so wrapped up in getting as much supplies as they can that no one's really ready for combat straight away. So go through the middle. Go to your crate first, obviously, and then go straight on for their start crate, the enemy teams. Because that's going to get you 2 crates, just as much as everyone else, and you've got less chance of being in combat. My next piece of advice is craft anything and everything, apart from health kits, because there's enough of them on the map, so don't waste your supplies on those. But, say for instance you don't really like using a smoke bomb and you wouldn't usually use it, that doesn't matter, because someone else in your team might appreciate the fact that you're throwing a smoke bomb into the middle of the crowd. They might be in a better position than you and it might work out well for them, even if it doesn't for you. And you will get some form of assist marks as well, because you've actually assisted the kill. So yeah, it works out either way. And again, you don't know what situation you're going to be in the foreseen future, so you might actually need that smoke bomb. And also, another thing to point out, these things, upgrade them. I always forget to upgrade them. I always make a Molotov instead of upgrading these when I get the chance. But upgrading these means that you can actually keep it through spawns instead of losing it when you die, which is really handy. And it's also a down in 1, which is brilliant. I mean, don't we all love downs in 1s? But yeah, so don't forget to make sure you use the most of all your weapons and everything you have around you. And finally, knowing your enemies, making sure you know what they're doing, where they're going, what their plans are, how they work as a team, if they're working together or if they're working away from each other or whatnot. So yeah, make sure you really pay attention to what they're doing. Anyway, I'll be back with a new video soon, but until then, bye! Hey, you're watching AFox, and today, as you can see, I'm in the world of Minecraft, and everybody, well, not everybody, but a few people have been asking me if I can do a survival series, so here we are.